Chapter 48 Memory of a Free Festival. Unfortunately, the busyness of that week caused me to be in places without good cell reception, resulting in me missing several calls from Selena. Our tentative plan was to meet for a picnic on Thursday afternoon, but on the day before, she left a voicemail saying that something had come up and asked if we could reschedule. Of course, I was at Uncle Robert's Wednesday night market and was out of range of the cell towers. By the time I got home, I just crashed. I didn't even know she'd left me a voicemail until the following day. I called her back and left a message, confused at why we kept missing each other. We played phone tag off and on that Thursday, and I have no doubt that Puna's notoriously spotty cell reception is mostly to blame for that. In the end, I left another voicemail suggesting that we meet for a picnic at the Ahala Nui Warm Ponds. The following day, I discovered that I'd somehow missed another call from her that evening. Was my phone dying on me? When I played her message back, her voice brightened my mood instantly. I could hear that she was doing better. She thought that a picnic at the warm ponds was a great idea, and went on to mention that she was going to be helping with decorations over at Green Lake for the annual yoga festival that Sunday. The idea piqued my interest, and I asked Tara if she might be interested in going to the yoga festival too. She smiled. Actually, I think I can get us free passes. Nonprofit organizations get in for free, and the meditation center is a nonprofit. Wow. That would be great. Let me know. Tara said that she wanted to schedule a meeting with me for the following week to talk about how we would proceed with rewriting her book, the reason that I was staying on the property in the first place. We agreed that we would meet the following Thursday, and by the time I got back to my phone, Selena had texted me. She would be bringing breadfruit and avocado to our picnic and wanted to know if I would be bringing a blanket. I asked her what she liked in a sandwich, and she responded within minutes, saying that she liked most foods, especially local ones. I practically flew up to Island Naturals, asking Tony, one of the employees, for some picnic ideas. Even though he was undeniably cool, Tony had quite a warm personality. He and I had an almost instant brotherly connection. Tony suggested a purple sweet potato salad to go with some of the rice chips I'd picked out. And for dessert, he suggested a little mint chocolate pie in the frozen section. Everything looked delicious, and I thanked Tony profusely for literally walking around the store with me and suggesting items. It was a level of service that I'd never received from a store employee before. Selena met me at Island Naturals, and I felt so happy to see her after what had felt like over a week. We zipped down to the warm ponds and spread out a blanket on a shaded, flat area beside the huge volcanically heated pool. With a smile, I pulled out the treats I'd brought one by one, and Selena lit up. Everything I got made her happy, and as we ate under the shade of the green palms, time felt almost pliable and foldable, as if it were our plaything. I massaged her hand, and we reveled in each other's presence. Still, we had issues to sort out. After we'd eaten most of the food, we had a conversation that had been simmering within me for weeks. I gotta say, something is bothering me, I said. Wait, we should speak using nonviolent communication. I'd heard of that before, but I wanted to be sure of what she meant. She explained that we should phrase everything based on our internal feelings about it, not by projecting our feelings onto others. So instead of saying, "You make me feel this way," we were to say, "When you say this, I feel this way." It's a subtle distinction that actually makes a huge difference. Okay, I said. That sounds like a good idea. Well, I'll be clear then. The events of the past few weeks have made me feel that you are completely unpredictable with how you feel about our relationship. I found it difficult to speak using her words, but I did my best. It's so confusing to me, I continued, not to mention disorienting. One day you seem interested, and the next I feel like you want to avoid me. You say that you want to be friends, and if that's all you can be, I understand. But this hot and cold attitude makes me question if we can even have a friendship. That's not quite nonviolent communication. She paused, inhaling deeply. But I see what you mean, and thank you for sharing that with me, Andrew. To be honest, I am confused. I care about you very much, but I'm still trying to get closure with my last relationship. And to be honest, I'm not sure that we can go back to being just friends. But I think we should try. Who says we need to define anything? I just want you in my life, Selena. I never wanted to possess you. I just don't want you to disappear. We went on to talk about sharing intimacy without a sense of ownership, and she said that she liked admiring me from afar. She admitted to me that she wasn't sure if she even knew how to be friends with guys. Somehow that made me feel better. After our talk, the sun was growing low on the horizon, and we played a funny improv role-playing game, the details of which have since escaped me. Only her playful grin remains burned into my memory. On the drive back, she thought out loud about us hanging out at her place afterward, or even driving up to Hilo to visit a friend. We joked around, but in the end, we drove up the same road back to where I lived. When she parked, we kept talking, and she pulled out her ukulele. And in one of the most spontaneous musical experiences of my life, I just started singing the song Green Eyes, and she played along with me. Thus was my life in those days, sitting in a parked car on the side of the road in the middle of the jungle, singing a Coldplay song with a ukulele accompaniment from someone who was more than a friend, but not quite a girlfriend either. After the song, we both stepped out of the car, and she gave me a profound 30-second hug that communicated what words could not. And as I walked back down the driveway to the small house, a deep feeling of love and joy enveloped me. Unfortunately, in the midst of this afterglow, I completely failed to realize that we didn't actually resolve the core cause of the tension between us. I arrived at Green Lake the following afternoon. The once empty field of verdant grass now had structures popping up all around it, including a wide stage being built near the edge of the forest. First, I looked for Daniel, one of the main organizers of the festival. Daniel had been a businessman who felt that something profound was missing from his life. He moved to the Big Island to become more centered, grow spiritually, and get in touch with the land in a deeper way than he ever had before. I had called him the day before to confirm when I should stop by to help, as well as who was welcome, and he was open to anyone showing up who was willing to work. In exchange, I would get free admission to the festival. Not a bad deal. I don't recall seeing Daniel that evening. Naturally, I also looked for Selena, who was over by a small structure that was under construction. The building was clearly designed to be easy to disassemble and transport, supported by a strong metal frame with a large tarp forming its roof. And unlike some of the buildings in Puna, that building actually had opaque walls. The only problem was that it looked bare and uninviting. Perhaps that's why Selena was working on it. "Aloha," I said when I reached her. Selena greeted me with a smile and explained that she was indeed helping to decorate the yoga studio for the festival. I asked if I could help, and we started by putting up some huge palm fronds. Propped upright to frame the entrance of the building, they stood over 2 meters tall, and at one point, Selena had to stand on someone's shoulders to tie the other end of the frond above the entrance. When she was done, I could barely see any of the metal support beams. Time flew by as we worked, and I felt that Selena was unusually distracted and exhausted. "How are you doing?" I asked. "You seem tired." "Yeah?" she said. "I guess so. Well, I was up all night texting my ex." Her words chilled me. If he hurt her again, I'm not sure how I would react. Why is he keeping you up so late? That's not cool. Well, she continued, it was an important conversation. I think he's depressed. Often in situations like this, she would ask for my advice or apologize for bringing him up, but not this time. I think that was what bothered me the most. Oh, I said, unsure of how to respond. I wondered if her ex had dared come back to the island, but she had told me that he didn't want to. Could I even trust that? How long had they been texting late into the night? The situation brought all of my feelings about the hot and cold pattern of her behavior to the forefront, dredging up bitterness that I thought I'd let go. If she had stopped sending me positive signals, it would have been easier to let go, but she hadn't. To her credit, she offered to give me and June a ride back into town. She had an errand to run at Island Naturals, but on the way up, we saw someone standing on the side of the road, sticking their thumb out. Unfortunately, there was a bunch of junk on the back seat of Selena's car, which meant that we didn't really have room. Selena pulled over anyway, assuring us that we would make room. Since it wasn't my car, I wasn't going to argue. I just didn't see how we were going to fit another person. It's okay, June said, turning back to me. You can sit in my lap, okay? Okay. I opened the door, letting the hitchhiker in where I had sat, and June opened her door, beaming a smile at me and showing off her dimples. How could I argue? Thankfully, she was a pretty slender person, so we were reasonably comfortable sharing the same seat. Although we soon realized that, since I was bigger, it made more sense for her to be in my lap, and soon we were back on the road, feeling a bit more snug and perhaps more cuddly. On an impulse, I massaged June's neck, and she was instantly receptive. For most of the ride over, she relaxed herself into my hands, closing her eyes in relaxation from time to time. Selena said nothing. I sensed that she had complex feelings about me giving her friend a massage, but if Selena and I were just friends, as she so often said, then I didn't see a problem. The following day, I was delighted to learn that several people from the center were also going to the yoga festival, including Tara and Werther. Tara had already secured us free passes, something I didn't really need because I'd volunteered to help set up, but I appreciated it. We drove together in Tara's car and took the gravel road up to a parking area not far from the wide, open field where most of the festival's activities were held, and before long, we were holding our free passes. Clearly, living so close to the meditation center had more benefits than I'd first realized, and we split up, each drawn to explore different parts of the festival. It was just after 10 a.m., and the crowd was still pretty thin. More booths had been set up since I'd been there the previous night, selling fruit, massages, smoothies, and plenty of other food on long, potluck-style tables. Thankfully, there were also several portable toilets tucked away behind a patch of banana trees, and I realized for the first time how far away from actual plumbing Green Lake was. I passed the main stage area, which had a wide solar panel array set up beside the festival sign, with dozens of little panels angled to catch as much of the sun as possible. The schedule indicated no shortage of fun events taking place throughout the day. Obviously, there was guided yoga, but there was also silk dancing, a kahuna talk, art activities, and tons of live music. There were even some smaller events farther down near the edge of Green Lake itself. I also saw Selena for a brief moment in the crowd, but I didn't approach her. Soon after, I ran into Werther and a friend of his. They mentioned that they might hike up to Green Mountain, which was only a short distance from there. I asked if I could join them, and they said they would be happy to have me along. I'd heard that Green Mountain wasn't really a mountain, but actually a large hill that had been formed by volcanic activity hundreds of years ago. Thick vegetation had since covered the formation, giving the mountain its name. Werther and his friend led me clear across the field to a trail that led into the forest at a gentle incline. As we passed under the patchy forest canopy, the incline grew steeper, and we talked to pass the time. Werther asked me if I'd seen Selena. I said that I had, but I hadn't talked to her yet. He mentioned that she seemed to be in a good mood that day, and the thought of her texting her ex late into the night came back to me. I'm trying not to think about her that much today, but I'm glad she seems happy. After a while, the forest canopy grew thinner, and we came around a bend, revealing just how high we had climbed. A few minutes later, we reached a clearing with a marvelous vista. Spread out before us was a stunning view, southern Puna in all its glory, starting at the green forest just below and stretching all the way out to the edge of the island and beyond, into the infinitely blue Pacific Ocean. The sky was clear, and I was speechless. I had traveled all around that land for over 6 months, but to see it all at once was humbling. Wow, I whispered. What an incredible view. Yeah, Werther said. Magnificent.